Brace yourselves for one of the most powerful storms in history. Hurricane Milton is slamming into Florida with unprecedented force. Torrential rain, raging winds, and deadly tornadoes are tearing through communities, with officials urging residents to either flee or hunker down immediately. With landfall expected near Tampa Bay tonight, the storm's fury is already being felt across the state, and the danger is rising by the hour. Stay with us as we dive into the latest updates, survival tips, and what you need to know as this massive hurricane unfolds. It's always alarming when a storm reaches this level of intensity. The early impacts alone can cause widespread damage, so it's understandable why authorities are stressing the need for evacuation and preparation. There's a lot of concern about people's safety, and these conditions sound genuinely dangerous. Originally classified as a Category 4 storm with wind speeds reaching 130 miles per hour, Milton has grown in size, now making it one of the largest hurricanes Florida has faced in recent history. Even though it has been downgraded to a Category 3, the storm remains highly dangerous, with winds sustained at 125 per hour. The most significant threat posed by Milton is the storm surge, which could reach a height of 12 feet. This surge threatens to cause unprecedented damage, particularly along the west coast, including Sarasota, where landfall is expected. It's interesting how even a downgrade doesn't necessarily mean the storm is any less dangerous. Storm surges in particular can be deadly, and the predicted 12-foot rise in water is hard to even imagine. Coastal areas really seem to be in for a lot of devastation. Mandatory evacuation orders have been issued for 11 counties across Florida, impacting approximately 5.9 million people. In counties like Manatee and Sarasota, where residents had previously been urged to evacuate, they are now being told that it's too late to leave and they must shelter in place. As emphasized by Matt Myers, Chief of Emergency Management in Manatee County, where you are now is where you are going to be during the duration of Milton. This really emphasizes how quickly conditions can change during a major storm like this. For many, the option to leave is no longer available, making it clear how crucial it is to heed evacuation warnings early. In addition to the storm surge and flooding, Hurricane Milton has triggered numerous tornadoes throughout central and southern Florida. The National Weather Service has issued a staggering 90 tornado warnings over the past 24 hours, breaking the previous record set by Hurricane Irma in 2017. At least 11 of these warnings have resulted in actual tornadoes, adding to the destruction and panic. As the storm moves closer to land, the tornado outbreak is expected to worsen. Tornadoes on top of a hurricane must make this an incredibly terrifying experience for residents. Tornado warnings alone are enough to create panic, but combined with a hurricane, the level of devastation could be extreme. Florida's emergency services are under significant strain. In Sarasota County, 911 services are nearing shutdown due to worsening winds. Local authorities have warned that emergency services will no longer be available once winds exceed 45 miles per hour. Currently, wind speeds have reached 22 miles per hour, but conditions are expected to deteriorate further. The loss of emergency services during such a critical time is deeply concerning. People won't have access to help if something goes wrong, and the situation is just getting more dangerous as the storm intensifies. Amidst the chaos, a viral figure known as Joe C. or Lieutenant Dan has captured public attention. This one-legged Floridian, who has become something of a social media sensation due to his refusal to evacuate his boat, is defying evacuation orders despite pleas from Tampa's mayor, Jane Castor. In a viral TikTok video, Lieutenant Dan stated he wouldn't be forced off his boat, even as conditions worsen, claiming the situation has been politically manipulated. This is an interesting human element to the story, but also a concerning one. Refusing to evacuate in such dangerous conditions seems risky, especially for someone living on a boat, which could be easily affected by storm surges and high winds. Lieutenant Dan previously made headlines for opposing government mandates during the COVID-19 pandemic, refusing vaccinations despite incentives. His current stance on not evacuating appears to align with his broader mistrust of government authorities. He remains firm in his belief that he can ride out the storm on his boat. His consistent opposition to government mandates seems to stem from a deeper mistrust. But riding out a storm like this on a boat seems incredibly dangerous. There's always the possibility that he's severely underestimating the power of nature. As people across Florida follow evacuation orders, eerie scenes are emerging on the state's deserted streets. Groups of sandhill cranes have been seen walking through empty neighborhoods and gas stations, making unsettling calls as they move through areas typically crowded with people. While some locals think the birds are reacting to the storm, experts suggest their behavior isn't unusual and is just a consequence of the mass human evacuations. It's always eerie when animals appear in normally bustling places during disasters. Nature has a way of adapting to human absence quickly, and it's fascinating that these birds are filling the void left by the evacuating people. Tourism in Florida has come to a complete stop due to Hurricane Milton. Orlando, home to major attractions like Disney World, Universal Orlando, and SeaWorld, has seen a steep decline in visitors as theme parks and airports close in anticipation of the storm. Orlando International Airport, the busiest in the state, ceased operations on Wednesday morning, and major theme parks have shut down, likely until Thursday. The closures have disrupted the plans of thousands of tourists, including those attending Universal's famed Halloween Horror Nights. Tourism is such a huge part of Florida's economy, and it's striking to think of these places, typically full of visitors, being completely empty. The impact on businesses and people's vacations is significant, but obviously, safety has to come first. In the aftermath of the storm, political tensions have flared, with President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump trading verbal jabs over the government's hurricane response. Trump and his supporters, including Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, have spread misinformation about the Biden administration's handling of the crisis. They falsely claim that funds for disaster relief are being redirected to support illegal immigrants and that only Democratic states will receive recovery aid. Biden has dismissed these accusations as ridiculous and criticized Greene's baseless assertion that the government is controlling the weather. Politics often seems to creep into situations where people need to focus on unity and recovery. Misinformation during a crisis can be dangerous, especially when it distracts from the real efforts needed to protect lives and restore order.